Welcome to this explainer, everyone. Today, we are going on an absolutely incredible journey through three distinct eras of Earth's history, right according to biblical texts. We're going to break down the past, make sense of the present, and then look ahead to a stunning vision for the future of our planet. Believe me, it is a transformation of truly global proportions, and you'll want to stick around for the whole thing. But right off the bat, we've got to address the elephant in the room, don't we? If God created a paradise to begin with, why in the world is there so much suffering today? I mean, it's a pretty stark contrast. You look around, and our current reality is just miles away from a perfect creation. Well, to understand how things took such a drastic turn, the source text shows us we can't just rely on human history books. We actually have to go all the way back to the very beginning.
So let's start with the first era, the original purpose.
To figure out where we're going, we really need to understand God's initial plan for us. Texts from Genesis and Isaiah make this crystal clear statement of intent. The Creator didn't just form the earth for no reason. He created it specifically to be inhabited. He gave those very first humans a clear, direct mission: be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth, and take care of it.
The original goal was literally a global garden. Think about that for a second. The whole point was to take that initial paradise of Eden and just expand it across the entire planet. It was meant to be filled with perfectly healthy, happy people living forever and peacefully looking after the animal kingdom. That was the baseline plan. So, what exactly happened?
Well, that brings us to the dramatic conflict that interrupted this whole beautiful setup. Let's look at the origin of the enemy.
The source material breaks down the psychology of this rebellion into three really fascinating steps. And here's the thing. We don't start out with some creepy monster. We actually start with a perfect, highly powerful angel. But, just like an honest person can choose to become a thief, this angel allowed a really selfish desire to take root in his own heart. He actually wanted the worship that the humans were giving to their creator. And by letting that toxic desire grow, it eventually culminated in step 3, manipulating a serpent to tell an absolutely catastrophic lie to Eve.
And what's super interesting here is how identities change based on our actions. You see, Satan and devil, those weren't this angel's original names. They're actually titles. By choosing to rebel against God, he literally made himself an opposer and a slanderer.
So how did a rebellion in the spirit realm actually mess things up for all of us? I love this analogy of a dented bread pan. Imagine you drop a metal baking pan on the floor and it gets a huge dent in it. From that day on, every single loaf of bread you bake in that pan is going to have that exact same dent, right? Well, when Adam sinned, he became imperfect. He got the dent. And because of that, every human born afterward inherited that exact same dent of imperfection. It's the core reason why we all age, get sick, and eventually die today.
Now, this naturally begs a massive question. Why didn't God just destroy the rebels right on the spot and start over? I mean, why let the dented pan keep baking bread, right? Well, the answer comes down to a sort of cosmic court case, centered entirely around perfect justice.
You see, Satan didn't just break a rule. He launched a direct, full-on attack on God's right to rule. He basically claimed humans didn't need God at all. He said God was holding back the good stuff and that humans would be way better off just ruling themselves. If God had simply wiped them out immediately, it would have proven he was stronger, sure, but it wouldn't have proven he was right. To settle this massive universal issue once and for all, time was needed. Humans had to be allowed to rule themselves independently so the entire universe could witness the actual results of that independence. Which brings us directly into our present era. Who rules this world? The biblical texts challenge a very common misconception about who's actually calling the shots right now. Consider this specific historical event from the book of Matthew. Satan literally offered Jesus all the kingdoms of the world in exchange for just one single act of worship. Now think about the logic here. If Satan didn't actually own and control all the world's governments, that wouldn't have been a real temptation, would it? It's like me offering to give you the Brooklyn Bridge. Jesus never once disputed Satan's ownership. In fact, later on, Jesus explicitly referred to Satan as the ruler of this world. But here is the good news. This period of independent human rule was never meant to be permanent. Satan's time to prove his point is quickly running out, which brings us to the end of the system. A massive change is on the horizon, and the contrast just couldn't be sharper. On one side, we have the results of human independence over the last few thousand years: relentless war, corrupt politics, and endless suffering. On the other side, the texts outline the ultimate solution: God's kingdom,
This is a righteous, heavenly government with Jesus Christ appointed as king, and it is prophesied to soon completely replace all current earthly systems. And that exciting shift brings us right into our final era, a new world, the promised restoration of God's original purpose. Now, the scriptures speak of new heavens and a new earth. But let's clarify something. This doesn't mean God is going to scrap this planet and make a literal new one. In biblical terms, earth very often refers to the people living on it. So this new earth is actually talking about a brand new, righteous human society that fully has God's approval.
So what's day-to-day life in this new society actually going to look like? Well, imagine living with 100% complete security. The text promised that the wicked will be entirely gone. God is going to make wars cease to the very ends of the earth. Just imagine that, having absolute, unbroken peace of mind for the very first time in human history.
On top of that, hunger is going to be a total thing of the past. The book of Psalms states there will be an absolute abundance of grain on the earth, even pushing all the way to the top of the mountains. The earth itself will yield its produce perfectly. We're talking healthy, abundant food for absolutely everyone, no exceptions. And this is the ultimate fulfillment of that original purpose we talked about at the very beginning. Our planet isn't just going to barely survive, it's going to be completely transformed. Areas that have been ruined by human mismanagement, they'll be restored into breathtaking, pristine environments. It's about expanding that original Edenic beauty globally and literally satisfying the desire of every living thing. And this restored harmony even extends out to the animal kingdom. The book of Isaiah paints this incredible picture of a time when animals that are currently fierce predators will peacefully coexist with domestic animals. It gets to the point where even a little child will be completely safe leading them around. Add to that the complete, total eradication of disease. The text emphasized that Jesus, acting as king, is going to cure sickness on a magnificent global scale. And we're talking way beyond the localized miracles he performed in the past. The promise is literal and it's absolute. No resident will ever again have to say, "I am sick." But perhaps the most touching promise of all addresses the absolute deepest pain caused by that original dent of imperfection. What about the people we've already lost? Well, the texts promise a truly joyous resurrection. Those who are currently sleeping in death, securely held in God's memory, are actually going to be brought back to life to experience this new world right alongside us. So we've covered a lot of ground today. We've seen the past, we've unpacked the present conflict, and we've looked at these incredible guaranteed promises for the future. The source material emphasizes that this brilliant future is waiting for those who choose to learn about their Creator and support His way of ruling. So the question I want to leave you with today is a deeply personal one. What steps are you going to take today to secure your place in that promised global paradise tomorrow? Keep learning, keep questioning, and thank you so much for joining me for this explainer.